It's a dark time to be a progressive. But it's the Thanksgiving season, which means it's time to be thankful to whatever non-specific deity or power you believe in. Let's try to keep up that spirit of gratitude by reminding ourselves of these 10 things libs can still be thankful for. Number 1, Trump will probably only be in office for another 30 years. Max. Number 2, you can run Kamala again against J.D. Vance next time. In fact, we encourage it. Number 3, we still get Biden as president for another 2 months. 60 more days of utopia. Number 4, there's still time to move to a foreign socialist country like Canada or California. Number 5, you can still watch your DVD copies of The West Wing. President Bartlett's shoulder is always available for you to cry on. Number 6, although we'll be under a fascist dictatorship, avocado toast will be cheaper. A small comfort to live during the Fourth Reich, but hey, it's something. Number 7, you'll only have to wear your handmade outfit while you're outside. It won't be mandatory indoors for another 6 months. Number 8, be thankful for all the good memories we've made, like when Lizzo campaigned for Kamala, or when she was all brat and stuff. That was cool. Or remember Beyonce? Or when Kamala went on that sex podcast? Man, that was fun. Number 9, Power Wash Simulator. This fun game is available on most major video game platforms for a reasonable price. You just power wash stuff. It's very relaxing. Gets your mind off the fact that Hitler's in office. Let's be thankful for the little things. And number 10, when Trump reveals himself as the Antichrist and kicks off 7 years of tribulation, you'll be able to smugly tell your Republican friends, "I told you so." Their tears will be so delicious. We hope these 10 things will get you through the next 4 years. What else can libs be thankful for? Scream them at the sky right now.
We hope you had a very wonderful Thanksgiving, and welcome to whatever season this weekend is. It's That Kevin Show.
Somewhere in the city that defines holiday magic is a man who wants a little eggnog with his mistletoe. And that guy would like to carol you. Featuring the musical stylings of Mel Tunney and the Dream in Color Singers. Still to come tonight, feeding the hungry and setting captives free. Todd Chatman from Christian Solidarity International. Sketch comedy from the Holderness family in the Babylon Bee. He'll be home for Christmas. Keith Getty and Kristyn Getty and Blessing Offer in the spotlight. And now, from Times Square, a man who starts bugging his neighbors because he's blasting his Christmas music in July. Here.
Christmas time, here we go, That Kevin Show.
Isn't that splendid? Haven't heard the Dream in Color Singers since last Christmas season. And welcome to the weekend, and welcome to a brand new holiday cheer season here at That Kevin Show. We are going to try to, every week, just sprinkle in a little festive spirit so that you can have a little bit of happiness as we get to the end of the year here and enjoy the holidays. And if you're not a celebrator of Christmas, please don't take it as an offense. I'm going to wish you Merry Christmas anyway. And if you'll tell me what you want to be wished, I'll wish you that as well. Happy Hanukkah. Kwanzaa? Is that a real thing? Still haven't figured that out. But whatever yours is, Festivus, you name it, you're going to get it. But for me, the deepest part of my heart, it's a Merry Christmas. Because Christmas is everything good that I celebrate at the end of the day. Welcome. Glad you're with us. This is a very exciting episode of That Kevin Show every year. We use this particular weekend between the giving of the thanks and the preparing for the coming of the Savior. We use this particular weekend as a bridge to do something amazing. And I got to tell you the history on this a little bit. Years ago, when I was just starting to self-syndicate and get started, and I had a lot of success, a lot of blessing, hundreds of radio stations took the radio show. Eventually, several TV networks picked up the TV side of it. And over time, I was just immensely grateful and blessed for what I felt like God had allowed to happen with all of this. And as a result of that, I pledged to him at that time that there would always be a piece of this platform, a piece of this effort, a piece of what we do that is designed to change the world, and primarily designed to change the world for those who specifically cannot say thank you back. In other words, the ones who need the most help, that's who we look to help. So in January, I unveil a plan, and then we follow along with it through the year. And this year, we have been trying to help liberate 208 slaves that are still in slavery captivity in northern Sudan. And as we go along week to week, I give you a little update, and sometimes a whole bunch of people respond, and sometimes just one or two people respond. But through the year, now to date, as of this very minute, we have now helped 181 women and children find liberation this year. 181 out of the 208, which means that we have about 27 to go. But friends, we can do something about that tonight. 888-342-1010 is the number that you call, or go to bringherhome.org if you want more info. But it might be a woman just like this one here in this story. Please take a listen.
It took me 15 days to walk the journey back to South Sudan. But that marked a passage for my life, from the horrors of slavery to a future filled with hope. Taken when I was just a child, snatched away literally from my mother's arms, my dreams of happiness were shattered as my living nightmare began. And suddenly, I found myself a slave. My slave master stripped me of my Christian faith and even my name, and he stamped on me instead a Muslim name and identity, and the beginning of a life of endless work. My worst day in slavery is still a vivid memory. My master sent me for a very difficult job of fetching water. The jugs are very heavy, and the distance is very far. When I was on my last trip to the well for that day, a group of Arab men approached the well and began calling out to me. And then they raped me. My master refused to accept my story and even blamed me for what ended up happening. And he did so, even though he had raped me so many times before that. Because I have no idea of my birthday or even hometown. When I arrived to South Sudan, I was very blessed to be able to join a community of 150 other former slaves. And as I am now pregnant with a child that was conceived from my abusers, it's my hope to be a loving and caring mother. I hold no remorse against this child because I am so grateful. I wish to send thanks to God and thanks to those of you who cared about me and brought me safely home. And I would like to ask that you not stop until every captive is freed fed, and healed. My name is Abuk Garang, and because of your faithfulness, I was freed in November of 2023. And this is my story.
Friends, just 1 year ago, we got Abuk liberated, and now's our chance to do the same thing for 208 new individual women and children, but we can't do it without your help. So would you go to the phone, 888-342-1010, 888-342-1010, or go to bringherhome.org. Let's make a difference right now.
Christmas time, here we go. That Kevin Show.
Here he is from New York. That Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back to Times Square. Kevin McCullough, very glad to have you with us. I love this portion of the year because what we do is we get out of, now that the election's passed and all the other stuff that's been going on all year, we get to kind of open our heart and open our mind and homes and literally lives to fun things, to amazing things, things that change people. And it's one of the reasons why we've been doing contests, and it's one of the reasons why I've been telling you I want you to have a great Christmas this year. I want you to experience that holiday and all of its meaning. And for those of you that don't celebrate Christmas, I wish you a very merry season anyway. But for me personally, being an evangelical, born-again Christian, it's something that is very serious to our family. And one of the ways we've decided to kind of granularly express that is to tangibly do something for people that can't do anything back for us. And that may sound like gloating. I don't intend for it to. It's not said in that intention. But we want to help people that don't have anybody helping them. And that's one of the reasons why Christian Solidarity International and I years ago began a partnership that I think over the last 10, 12 years, we've added it up. And Rob Davis, the CEO of CSI, has told me that we are closing in, I think, on close to 5,000 human lives that have been liberated from slavery. And it's not me, it's you and I together. We've done this as a team, and I want to keep doing it as a team. And this year we had 208 names in January that were given to us, and by the end of the year we would like to see all 208 of those individuals removed from slavery and brought back to well-being in South Sudan. And we are about, I don't know, 36 names away from fulfilling that list. It's a really amazing thing to think that you've already liberated well more than 150 individuals this year. There's always another liberation trip scheduled just around the corner, so it's really important that we pay attention and that we do this. But this is the time of year where it makes a difference. It makes a big difference. And here to discuss it with me is Todd Chatman from Christian Solidarity International. And he gets to advocate on their behalf across the country in different ways and different platforms. And Todd, you and I have worked on a lot of different charitable projects together. But I think you have to agree, there's never been anything like the restorative good that the CSI Slave Liberation Program does for the people that it helps. There's just nothing like it on planet Earth.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you and I have worked together on helping feed starving children in Haiti and Central America and provide clean water and things like that. But what CSI does, thanks to your generous donations, we're truly setting people free from slavery, modern day slavery, people whose lives have been taken from them for, in many situations, decades.
Yeah.
A lot of these women and stories we'll be sharing, these are people that were abducted years ago when they were, 3, 4, 5 years old. Some were even born into slavery in North Sudan, and every year CSI is able to free about 1,500 slaves. And so we're very grateful for that. And obviously, listeners to this program, viewers of this program, you make a huge difference with every contribution that you make. So thank you, and hoping and praying that we can finish this year strong and on target and liberate the 40-ish or so slaves that we're trying to free.
Yeah, that's the real bottom line here. And you probably have questions, friends, about how it works and how it goes about. We'll get into all of that. But the bottom line is you need to understand that a person who was taken into slavery against their will, no choice in the matter, ritualistically abused for the entire time they've been in slavery, has the chance to be out of that slavery by Christmas this year. So your gift tonight at 888-342-1010, 888-342-1010 is going to change a life. And every time we give, someone tonight gives $250, that's going to also take that slave and say, here's everything you need to start your life all over again. And it will be a Christmas bag of gifts that they have never seen before. They've never had anything close to the generosity that's going to be in that bag, which includes food for a year, seed for another year's worth of food, cooking utensils, cleaning utensils, fishing utensils, gardening utensils, and the best part of all, they get a little she-goat, and they get to have other baby goats, and they get to make milk and cheese and all that stuff. It's all of that packed together is called the Bag of Hope, and it is literally everything they need to begin their life all over again.
Except the goat. We don't put the goat in the bag.
Well,
we let the goat stay out of the bag.
It won't all fit in the bag. That's the problem. It's several bags, and just the grain and seed alone are a bag each. So it's
and you don't want the goat eating that. So hence the goat can't go in the bag.
Right. Well, I don't think the goats really like the sorghum. So it actually works out pretty well.
They don't like the bag either. So
here's the phone number, 888-3. They're more likely to eat the bag than the sorghum.
This is true.
888-342-1010. Anybody that's ever raised goats knows I'm telling the truth. They'll eat license plates before they eat things that are good for them. 888-342-1010, 888-342-1010. You can also go online and give, and it takes less than 2 minutes. Bringherhome.org. Bringherhome.org takes care of that. Now, Todd, every year, CSI, the first part of the journey home is that the Arab retriever goes into North Sudan. They negotiate the slaves release. They get the slaves released. They bring them back to the border of South Sudan, where there is this kind of recovery camp that they get medical attention, psychological attention. They get all kinds of things that they've been deprived of for the last 10, 15, 20 years that they've been in slavery. And the other aspect of that place is that they get to sit and tell their story to someone who will listen to them, who will help them write it down, who will help them maybe remember their Christian name if they've been given a Muslim name by their slave masters, etc. And that's where CSI is able to really document what we do and how we do it and what all it means. Take us behind the scenes into some of those stories tonight.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard. I mentioned earlier that oftentimes, some of these people were abducted when they were children, and so you're trying to take them back to when they were 3-4 years old. A lot of those memories are lost. They've really, in many ways, been stripped of their identities. But the more we talk with them, and sometimes we're actually able to reunite them with members of their family to fill in some of those early gaps, and that's a beautiful situation when that happens. But I was actually just looking over some news stories that we just got from some of our liberations this year, so forgive me if I look down at notes, but one that really jumped out at me was a young woman named Ajuk. She's 25 now, but she was abducted when she was 3 or 4 years old. She was actually visiting her grandmother in South Sudan along with her mom, and marauders, these Arab marauders, showed up and basically abducted them. They didn't take grandma because she had no value. She was so old, but they did take Ajuk and her mom, and they took them up north into North Sudan. And it was just, you can imagine, just, terrifying for an adult, much less a child. She says, we witnessed a couple men be murdered right in front of us on the journey northward because they tried to escape. And when you try to do that, of course, they're going to be, make an example of them. And so, but she's delighted to be back home and hoping that at some point they'll be able to go free her mom, who's still in slavery today.
All right. That's just one of the people that we can help, friends. 888-342-1010, 888-342-1010, or bringherhome.org.
That Kevin. Next.
That Kevin Show.
Here he is from New York. That Kevin McCullough.
Thank you, friend, for being there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for paying attention. And thank you for caring. One of the things that I love about this season is that we get to kind of concentrate on the important stuff. And I know a lot of people thought the election was important. Hey, I gave it the best I could for 4 years. And you know what? God saw fit that Donald Trump's going to lead us for the next 4 years. So that's the direction that he wants us to go. I'm okay with that. If you've listened to my show, you know that I'm okay with that. But whether you were or not, what we're talking about right now is really important. So I'd appreciate it if you'd kind of lean in a little bit to what we're telling you. We're telling you about the stories of young girls who have had their lives robbed from them. Literal human slavery. You think it doesn't exist on the planet anymore. You know, we've had abolition movements. Everything's been set free, right? No. There are more people in slavery today on planet Earth than ever in human history. And in the 18 countries that my friends at Christian Solidarity International work in, there's a form of slavery in most of them. So we are on the front lines trying to do all that we can to say, hey, this is wrong and we need to do something about it. The kind of most prominent place that they're at work is in Sudan. Sudan and South Sudan got divvied up as new countries at the end of the Sudanese Civil War. What happened there was the world governments got involved and negotiated the end, and they left all the slaves in northern Sudan. 185,000 at its peak is how many northern Sudan had in custody in slave masters' households there. That through the CSI, slave liberation progress has been reduced to about 35, maybe 40,000 that are left. But every year there are several hundred that we have the chance to identify, negotiate the release of, and get out of there. And that's what we're doing this year. 208 names is where we started. And we have about 3 or 4 dozen to go before the end of the year. And I'm asking you to help us by just taking one name off the list. It's a $250 gift. And when you do, they receive everything they need to start their life over again. And that's really important when they get to South Sudan, because the new life has just started at that point. Todd Chatman is back with me from CSI. And Todd, these women, when they are liberated, there seems to be a couple of things that are consistent in their stories. One, everyone's been treated inhumanely and grotesquely horrible. Like there's just nothing about their life in slavery that has been admirable at all. They've been ritualistically raped by their slave masters. Some of the slave masters give the slaves to business associates or their sons or other people to just use on occasion. Imagine just being treated as like, a bath towel. That's kind of the way these slave masters think of these women, that they're just, just a component of their life that they can just loan to people. In that process, they are verbally abused many times by those that are sexually abusing them. But then in addition to that, you've got the slave masters' wives that are jealous and angry and ticked off with them because the husband does things with them. So you've got, there's no relief when they're in slavery. It's just constant oppression and constant subjugation and constant abuse on every level. And that's what makes the CSI program so important. Explain how it works real quickly for people that have not been with us before.
Yeah, so sure. So we have what we call slave retrievers, and they are just constantly on the lookout, go roaming to and fro, I suppose you would say, looking for slaves and seeking to liberate them. And so the way that we do that is many of the slave owners today they're in the cattle business. And we, in the interest of not creating a greater market for this slavery activity, we never pay cash for the release of a slave. Instead, we negotiated with these cattle farmers, these cattle ranchers, to provide them with a vaccine that is very difficult for them to procure, but it inoculates their cattle against common diseases that can wipe out their herds. And so our slave retrievers, they do the negotiating, and then they will work out the release of one of the slaves. We bring them down into kind of holding camps for a season till we've got a group of them together. And then about 5 times a year, we have a big freedom march, for lack of a better term, where we just march all of these women and now kids. We're able to affect the release of children whenever possible now, which is awesome. We weren't able to do that for a long time. Yeah. And so they march, and it takes days for them to march back into South Sudan. And then we have an entire facility set up there where we render medical aid and counseling. We capture their stories, document them, and we set them up temporarily for a place where they can build a new life and a new community. And then we set about trying to find their families and reunite them. So
we're trying to give them the best Christmas ever. 888-342-1010, 888-342-1010, 888-342-1010. Or if you're like me, online's easier, bringherhome.org. Bringherhome.org. We're trying to bring her home.
Stick around for more of That Kevin next.
That Kevin Show.
Here he is from New York. That Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back, and thank you to those of you that have taken this opportunity to call 888-342-1010. That's the number I've been giving you all year, and as many of you, more than 160 of you, have said, "Hey, we're gonna liberate a life this year." Thank you for doing that. We have not been perfect at this, but in the McCullough household over the last 4 years, we have tried. We've made it our goal to, as many times as we can, liberate a slave once every month. We set aside doing other things as we are able to be able to do that. And the reason that we do really is because my sons and daughter heard me talking during the COVID pandemic about the slavery situation in northern Sudan, and they said, "Dad, what are we going to do about that?" And so we, as a family, kind of committed to that. And as I said, as we are able to, God has allowed us to do that more often than not on a monthly basis. I'm not asking you to do anything like that, by the way. If you want to take the 12-month challenge and try to give a slave their liberation every month, that would be great. You just go to bringherhome.org and put that. You can customize how often you give and how you do that. It's right there on the page. It's super simple to do. You can also let the operator know if you call 888-342-1010 if you'd like to make that gift as well. We just had a gift last week of somebody who said, "Kev, I'm so moved by what CSI is doing. I want to liberate 10 slaves." And they gave a 10 slave gift of $2,500. And that means that 10 of those women that were on that list are now going to go home for Christmas. Yeah. They're going to make this Christmas happen. That person chiming in there with me is Todd Chatman, and he is with the CSI. And that's the thing, Todd, when people really understand the power of this program, it genuinely moves hearts, and they say, "How can I get involved? I want to be involved." And I remember even when you were first told about it, you kind of like scratched your head and was like, how is slavery still happening like this? And yet it is. It's worse than ever before.
Well, yeah, that, and also, I had not heard about all of this situation in Sudan. This happened, by the way, this started all back in last century, which makes it sound like a long time ago, and it was. I mean, this started back in the 80s and 90s during that civil war in Sudan, and basically the targeted people group were African Christians. They were told, you can't be Christian, and militias were allowed to go in and maraud in their villages and take them captive and kill and destroy. And that's how all this started. And so CSI worked early on through the political, channels to try to solve this problem. And we had some good successes there. But what we were not able to do through political channels was to act, we got the slavery stopped. We were able to get them to say, okay, got the war stopped, slavery stopped, can't take any more slaves, but we couldn't get them to mandate that they release those slaves. And so then we said, well, someone's got to do that. We've started doing that, and we've been doing it ever since. More than 100,000 slaves liberated. But I had never heard that story before. And I think a lot of people here in America are not aware of how this happened and that it's still a thing. And so we're committed at CSI just to continuing to, thanks to your generous gifts, we're going to keep this going until, Lord willing, all the slaves are freed. But Kevin, it's not as if, let's say there were, 150,000 taken. We don't know exactly. That number has not stayed static. I mean, many were killed, but many who have been there for a long time, they've had children now. And so now we're having to, also try to free subsequent generations of people born into slavery, and we're trying to do that as well. But again, your generous gifts are what make it happen. We do have one more slave liberation coming up before the end of the year. We're doing about 5 a year now, and every time we try to free about 300 slaves. So think about that, 1,500 a year. The only thing holding us back is just funding, and then of course, time. We only have so much time, and that's a time-consuming process. Yeah. But the more money you give, the more people we can free, and that's the most important thing.
Well, and we try to be very intentional about how we do this. And I say we because I feel like I've been part of the CSI family for a long time. Technically, I'm not on their payroll. I am an advocate for them. But here's the thing. And I know that Dr. John Eibner was very happy that the governments of the world got involved and stopped the civil war, stopped the bloodshed, stopped the killing. I know that he was deeply disappointed that his influence in bringing those countries together did not persevere all the way through to getting the slaves liberated. And so it's been a personal passion for the top of CSI, but it's been a corporate passion for the CSI organization as a whole. And for me and for hundreds of others that are involved every single year. And friend, your gift, it sets that captive free, but it does more than that. It gives them the foundation for a new life. That $250, and just listen to what all's in there. The bag of hope is what each slave is given. And when I say we're doing this intentionally, it's not, we don't just bring them back and say, good luck, have fun. No, we take time to help heal them. We take time to listen to them. We take time to figure out where they came from. Many times they only have pieces of their own story left in their head, and we try to find relatives. And when we do get them back to their point of origin, if there are family members, if there are friends, if there are people that remember them, if there's a community that remembers their family, you should see the celebrations that these churches that we work through throw for these women. It is just amazing. And for the ones that we can't put the lives back together completely from their childhood, there are communities of former slaves that now live together as well, which is, I think, a beautiful thing, because who understands better what you've been through than somebody else who's been through it? And to be there, able to practice your Christian faith, able to actively sing hymns of worship to God when you've been banned from doing that the whole time you've been in Islamic slavery. It's just a really incredible thing. But here's what your $250 gift gives them. It gives them a year's worth of food for the first year that they're back. It gives them a year's worth of seed to plant for the next year's worth of food. And from that, they will garner seed for the following year and so forth. So there's an ongoing process that is already kind of locked into place. There's utensils to help them clean and fish and garden and cook. Beyond that, there's bedding, there's tarps, there's things that help keep them insulated from the weather. There may be a variety of special things depending on where they live and what they need. For instance, if they are near a fishing source, more fishing supplies is available and so forth. But then there's also this giving of a she-goat to each one that is liberated, and that she-goat becomes a little micro enterprise. They're able to bear more goats and sell them. And to support themselves, to develop milk and cheese and other things for food base that comes out of that situation as well.
Stick around for more of That Kevin next.
That Kevin Show.
Oh my gosh, okay, let's all sit down and watch the parade. And that's enough, and let's get to work. Thanksgiving is a time of tradition and family and organization. This is the oven schedule. We have 47 dishes. They've all been color-coded, and these pie charts show optimal temperatures. Oh, you want to help? Oh my gosh, you are so sweet. I would love you to help. I will not get in your way at all. Honey, you're tearing the bread wrong. Honey, love you, you're stirring wrong. Did you just open the oven? Honey, the minute you open the oven, Thanksgiving is ruined because it goes from like 400 degrees in perfect convection to 12 degrees below zero and absolute zero space temperatures. You can't open the oven, ever, ever. I cannot believe I have to do all this by myself. Why does no one help me? Why do they not feel affirmed enough? Oh, I gotta watch the parade again. The high school dance squads are out. Oh, I love high school dance squads in the parade. They totally messed up that. Those girls are so adorable, but it's supposed to be a kick, ball change, turn. Like that. Ooh, the Rockettes. You know, the only reason that I was not in the Rockettes is because I'm not tall enough. Otherwise, I'm the perfect Rockette. Look at this. Amazing. Honey, no, you don't eat the pepperoni. That's for charcuterie later. Honey, don't eat the Parmesan cheese. That's for the salad later. Honey, don't eat the apples. That's for the pie later. Honey, you can eat whatever you want as long as it's not in this refrigerator, the freezer, or the pantry. So just anything in the house you can't eat. But if you find something outside, you can totally eat that, like a mushroom in the yard. Did you just use the bathroom? No, I just cleaned the bathroom and we have people coming today, so you cannot use the bathroom. Drive to someone else's house or find a good wooded area. Aren't you an Eagle Scout? Can you just dig a latrine? That was so lovely seeing everyone, and now we can just relax. Okay, let's decorate for Christmas. Let's go, come on. Help me get this stuff out of the attic. It's gonna be so nice. It's just gonna be like 10 or 12 days, and then we're gonna be all set.
Somewhere in the city that defined holiday magic is a man who wants a little eggnog with his mistletoe. And that guy would like to carol you. Featuring the musical stylings of Mel Tunney and the Dream in Color Singers. Still to come, he will turn 50 at Carnegie Hall. Care to join him? Keith Getty. Coming up, also sketch comedy from the Babylon Bee and the Holderness family. And later on, a Christmas classic from Kristyn Getty and Leslie Alden. And now, from Times Square, a man who may look like the Grinch on the outside, but on the inside, he's just a pure curmudgeon-y St. Nick. Here's that Kevin!
And welcome. Hour number 2 is underway. So grateful to have you with us for this very special edition of That Kevin Show. This particular weekend, as I explained in hour 1, is a time when it falls between the Thanksgiving holiday, where we are giving thanks for all the good things that we have received, and Giving Tuesday, which is the focus of helping others receive good things that they can't receive on their own. And what better way than to push towards the fulfillment of the goal, the project, the passion that I've been on top of since January of this year. Now, if you're just joining us for this hour, you may not know the backdrop to this, but a number of years ago, when I was first syndicated, I promised God that as long as he gave me the privilege of being on the air and having so many outlets to let my voice be heard on, that I would always see to it that we used a portion of that platform to actually help people that can't say thank you, to actually help people that can't do anything for us in return, that we're just going to simply give to them what they can't give to themselves. And that's where a number of years later, my friends at Christian Solidarity International came into my life, and we have been liberating slaves now for the last 10 plus years, and we're closing in on 5,000 human slaves that we have given actual liberty to, actual lives back, actually rescued young girls that had been in slavery and have given them freedom and a start to their own life. And friends, when you give a $250 gift tonight, just a one-time gift of $250, that's all it is. That gives that woman, that child, that slave that we liberate, everything that they need to survive in their new life. It gives them a year's worth of food, sorghum grain that is very commonly used in Sudan. It gives them a year of seed to plant another year's worth of food. It gives them tarps and utensils to use for gardening and cleaning and fishing and all the things that you need when you're trying to carve out a life. It gives them blankets and other things to help insulate them from weather. It gives them a Bible in their language. Many of these women have been Christian and have been forced to abandon their Christian faith by their Muslim slave masters. And it gives them kind of the fun part of all of it. It gives them a little she-goat that they can use to breed other goats and to do other great things with, like make milk and cheese for themselves and their families, as many of these women are still quite young and still have a desire to have a family of their own. Many of them have had brutal violence meet them in slavery, but tonight, friends, we are giving them the incredibly overwhelming joy that freedom is. And when they get back to their hometowns, the party just begins. 888-342-1010, 888-342-1010. Every gift given tonight will be matched. So please call now, 888-342-1010, 888-342-1010. We're going to continue to hear stories. We've got some other fun things for you. Keith and Kristyn Getty are still here. Another song from them coming up at the end of this hour. But please do what you can right now. Bringherhome.org or 888-342-1010 or bringherhome.org.
Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening, a beautiful sight. We're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. But not yet, but we're getting there. Christmas around the corner. We've got our Irish Christmas concert coming soon. We're kicking off in Nashville, Tennessee on November 30th. That's just Thanksgiving weekend. We weren't there last year, so we're excited to get to play in our American hometown. And then we will be going to New York, right, Keith?
We're finishing at Carnegie Hall. It'll be the 10th anniversary of playing Carnegie Hall, so special night.
Yeah, but it's also a very special birthday that night because Keith's turning 50 years old that day. So come and have a birthday party with us at Carnegie Hall.
My hairdresser says I look a lot younger.
You look a lot younger, but we'll be there with all a wonderful band, great carols singing,
special night.
And special guests. So come and join us for that.
Then we head home and play the very first ever Irish Christmas in Ireland. So we'll be home for Christmas.
We will. So look for those dates at gettymusic.com and come and join us. A venue close to you. We can't wait to see you.
I was a child when I was abducted by the Arabs. My parents used to own livestock, and my mother would do all the cooking for us. I don't remember the year that I was captured. There had never been any problems in our village. Then one day, all of a sudden, we heard that there were Arabs attacking Dinka villages throughout the south. We were so worried we could not even sleep at night. It was a big concern to my mother and my father. We were told that these Arabs were heavily armed and would kill all the animals and people when they would attack. We were very scared. Then one morning, they attacked our village. We scattered in different directions and I ran, but I was captured. My entire village was burned down, and I've never seen a member of my family since. Then I was taken north, into slavery. My eyes saw horrific things on that trip to the north. Women were raped right in front of us. Men were beaten, and 4 men were killed because they tried to fight back. They were shot dead before our eyes. Once at the slave master's house, I was pretty much starved and worked brutal hours every single day doing difficult and very, very hard work. There was no relief. And then they raped me. My slave master did not think of me as a human. He would not even let me go to the hospital when I fell sick. And one day I heard that there was a slave retriever from CSI close by. How I wanted to be free. That retriever secured my freedom. And thank God I was able to return to South Sudan. Thank you to each of you who helped the slaves be free. But please don't stop until we get them all.
It's a reasonable request
The phone number is 888-342-1010, 888-342-1010. And your gift right now of only $250 will liberate another girl like a Hoke, the one you just heard the story from. The names may sound different to our Western ears, but their hearts, their desires, their lives are no different than your own daughters. Friends, if you believe that slavery is evil, and if you believe that we should be here to make a difference, then please do. Pick up the phone, 888-342-1010, 888-342-1010. You can also give online by just going to bringherhome.org. That's bringherhome.org or 888-342-1010. That's 888-342-1010.
Christmas time, here we go. That Kevin Show.
Here he is from New York. That Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back to Times Square. Kevin McCullough, glad to have you with us, That Kevin Show. And my next guest really needs no introduction. He's been part of this broadcast for the last, 10 years. Because every year he makes some sort of jaunt to New York and plays a little music at Carnegie Hall. And then we listen to poetry till 2 a.m. And it's always a lot of fun. Keith Getty, welcome back.
Yeah, it's great to be back, Kevin. How are you in this fine fall season?
Well, I got to tell you, I started listening to Christmas music a little bit earlier this year. And I don't know if this is normal. We had a lot of plans just kind of fall through for the holidays. So I said, who cares? I'm going to break out the Christmas music like the day after Halloween. So that's what we did. So November 1 through 27 is Christmas season. Then we're going to have Thanksgiving on the 28th, and then 29th through December 30th, we'll be back to Christmas again. What do you think of those apples?
No, it sounds pretty cool. It sounds pretty cool. But the Christmas music is so inviting, isn't it? It's just it warms the spirits. I don't know.
It gives you joy. There's no other season of music. I guess Resurrection Sunday does, but you got to go through Good Friday to get to Resurrection Sunday. The thing about the Christmas season is it's all anticipation, it's all good, and it's all filled with hope. And what I find is that the message resonates with people as well. Like, do you want hope? Hope's a good thing.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic.
So we're kind of excited because you're going to be back in New York. Of course, people watching me across the country, you need to go to gettymusic.com and find the dates in the closest locales to you because there will be a Getty Music Irish Christmas tour this year. And Keith, just touch on this for a second. You guys are actually taking the Irish Christmas tour to Ireland this year.
It's never happened. I wrote my first composition 35 years ago this year. It was a Christmas carol that I wrote in Ireland, and that gave me the taste for being a composer. And obviously, we moved to America. I got married 20 years ago. I wrote my first hymn 25 years ago. It's the special year this year. It's 25 years ago I wrote In Christ Alone. That was the first hymn. And then Kristyn and I got married 20 years ago. And so we started.
What was the Christmas carol that you wrote 35 years ago?
It was a setting of a carol called Love Came Down at Christmas. It was a new tune to it. And I wrote it for our school's Christmas production. And it just gave me the taste for it. And
are you going to do that Christmas carol at Carnegie Hall this year?
I'm not, but I think they're including it in the hymnal, which is pretty nice. So,
well, we need to talk about that because the hymnal is a completely different project. See, friends, if you don't know the Gettys, you don't understand that now you can listen to Kristyn literally as the voice of God, and you can sing Keith's songs literally as the hymnal of the new age. And lo and behold, he's not even 50 years old yet, but we're going to change that in New York this year. You turn 50 on your 10th anniversary of the Carnegie stage. Yeah, how did you line that up? You must have had some really cool friend in New York that helped you, 10 years ago, figure all this out.
I got to tell you, we've worked with Carnegie now we've worked with them, for longer than 10 years. We worked with them for 12 years because they saw the Christmas show, and when PBS wanted to run it, they said, this is a Christmas show we could like. This is a Christian show we could like. And they asked us to do it. And then my wife went and got herself pregnant with Charlotte, and we had to pull out of a Christmas tour.
She did that all by herself.
That's right.
Nobody else had anything to do with that at all.
So then God gave us Charlotte, which was just something. And then the next year they called us again and said, do you want to come do this? And I said, well, I'm turning 40 this year, so I may as well.
Yeah.
Give it a shot.
Well, I remember the year before that, you were at a little church, and I say that because it's really one of the biggest ones, Calvary Baptist in Midtown. And you wandered up 3 flights of stairs to come sit on a radio show with some fella named Kevin that you'd never really spent any time with before.
Yeah.
And we became fast friends. And ever since then, our wives had babies in the same years, and we turned 50 together. So this is kind of a remarkable span of life, at least on my behalf. You probably think it's remarkably unremarkable. But let's talk about, so Kristyn's version of the Bible narration came out last year. And this year, you've got the hymnal.
We partnered with Crossway. Crossway started 80 years ago. You know their books.
Yep.
It was an organization. They had a goal way back over half a century ago that one day they would do a Bible, one day they would do a hymn book. And obviously, they got another Brit called J.I. Packer to edit their Bible, which was called the ESV, the English Standard Version. And then they asked Kristyn to do the audio Bible. Now, they've subsequently done a number of others with other voices that are wonderful to listen to as well.
But none of them have the brogue that she does. Like, it's too much fun to listen to her read the scriptures.
I thoroughly agree with that. The second thing, which is so interesting, is they wanted to do a hymnal, and we also wanted to do a hymnal. And I wanted to do one for turning 50. In 2000, when we wrote In Christ Alone, we created we wrote a thing called the 2050 vision of imagine a world in 2050 where our grandchildren will sing intelligently and beautifully of the Lord, and so that their minds and hearts are so disposed to the scriptures because they sing them over and over again, understanding God, that they're deep believers.
Which was really, Keith, let's be honest, at the moment that you guys were thinking that, you were running upstream to everything that was being released for the church.
In those days we were. In those days it was. In those days when I just finished college, and we were choosing songs for youth group or even for church.
It was all sloppy wet kisses and stuff.
You either had to play a hymn, or if you wanted a modern song, you had to pick a song that either had some Bible verses or was sort of true.
Like I said, sloppy wet kisses.
And that's the best you could hope for. And so, and it's not, I mean, to be very clear, it's not just because of Kristyn and I, but in those 25 years, we started to do it, and a number of others have really jumped in too. And I think today there is part of the reason for this hymnal was to have a modern major hymnal that is the collection of these 25 years of hymns, and so they're there, and we're so excited about it, ourselves, Sovereign Grace, City of Light, and then so many other songs, Andrew Peterson's Is He Worthy, and songs like that.
Well, I want to just tell everyone watching and listening that Keith and Kristyn, I think, have been uniquely touched by and called by God to be the legacy of the hymn writing art for the future. I talk to a lot of artists, I talk to a lot of songwriters, a lot of performers, but you guys are true hymn writers, and this is really something special. We're going to take a break in just a second, but friends, I want you to go to gettymusic.com. I want you to see all the places that the Christmas tour is going, and then if you can at all, book a flight, schedule a hotel room, come to New York for Carnegie Hall under any circumstance. You got other plans, cancel them. Come to New York and celebrate Christmas with the Gettys this year, because Keith turns 50 on the night that it happens, which is going to be kind of fun. And I think there probably will be some surprises that we don't even know about yet, but you're going to get to see one of the greatest Christmas evenings I think you'll ever have spent. Dr. A.R. Bernard, Dr. Alistair Begg, the artist known as Blessing Ophir is going to be with us. This is going to be an astounding evening with Gettys and friends at Carnegie Hall. You don't want to miss it. Go to gettymusic.com to get those tickets. And we're coming right back with more with the very humorous and very practical Keith Getty when we continue.
Christmas time, here we go.
Welcome back, friends, from Times Square. 107 million TV households, 300 radio stations, and a podcast near you. Kevin McCullough, glad to have you with us. That Kevin Show. Keith Getty is my guest, and we happen to be, I would say, fairly good friends. Our wives had all their kids at almost the exact same time, and I'm still trying to argue dowries with my sons and his daughters, but we haven't figured that out yet. But Keith, it's always a joy, not just to get to visit with you on my show, but then we get to go celebrate your birthday this year on the 16th at Carnegie Hall. You're going to turn 50. And I got to tell you, brother, as someone who's walked in those shoes far in advance of you, there's still life on the other side. So hang in there.
Yeah,
it's going to get better, I promise.
Seems a long way away, but we're so looking forward to it.
We were talking about the New York date in particular, and A.R. Bernard, who was the special guest last year, Alistair Begg, who's one of the all-time favorites, Malcolm Guite, the poet, who, if I have any fortune at all, I intend to listen to him reciting free verse, maybe over his pipe into the wee hours of the morning following. And great musicians. Now, for people that don't know Blessing Ofor, talk a little bit about who he is and some of the other people that you have coming this year.
Yeah, but Blessing Ofor, he's a Nigerian blind artist who has just burst onto the scene this year. He was nominated for 2 Grammys.
And you had him at Sing a couple of years ago.
That's right. Just as it was happening, he sang The Lord Almighty Reigns with Kristen. And he recently did a thing with John Legend, and his most recent single is a duet with Dolly Parton. So that
single with Dolly Parton is up for Song of the Year here on That Kevin Show at the end of the year. He's already been nominated, so it's in the rotation for that. And it'll be interesting to see how well he does, because he really is a talented guy. And when you say he's blind, I don't think people understand that he's multi-talented. He plays piano, he sings, he does a lot of things.
Incredible writer as well, and began to release his Christmas stuff. I mean, he's special. So I said, he's a neighbor of ours. We enjoy much of life together. My daughters think he's the coolest person they've ever.
He is the coolest person. What are you talking about?
I don't know why he hangs around with their parents, to be honest. I think that's their big problem.
So he's doing a full Christmas album?
Yeah, he and Kristen. So Kristen and I had done the Christmas show for Irish Christmas for 15 years, but never brought it to Ireland.
Right.
So we suddenly thought, what about the year I turned 50, bringing it home to do these 2 shows? And so Blessing, of course, because from Nigeria, he had never got home to Nigeria, and he finally got home this year. We're all sitting out by our pool one night, just chatting and shooting the breeze. I said, why don't you? He goes, I didn't get to see my brother. He now lives in Scotland, so I want to go there for Christmas. I said, why don't we all record a version of I'll Be Home for Christmas? This is the year. It's everybody's story. It's your joint story. And then, of course, what I wanted to do was I wanted to build the Carnegie show around going home, the spiritual going.
Right.
Dvorak's Ninth Symphony. So Dvorak's Ninth Symphony, would you believe, was premiered at Carnegie Hall on the 16th of December, over 100 years ago.
Please tell me you're going to bring this up the night that we're all there together.
We might just mention that. and so we thought, what a way to bring in 50, what a way to go home. And
now, I have to tell people that are watching, Keith has already sent me a preview copy of the I'll Be Home for Christmas Blessing and Kristen duet. It is astounding. And the reason that I cannot provide it for you here on the show is because we don't have a video version of it yet, which I've already chastised him and wrapped his knuckles about.
There's a lyric version coming out this year. And then we're making
try to get that if we can. But
we're making a video of Kristen and Blessing taking it home to Ireland this Christmas, and then releasing the video.
That will be amazing a year from now. But I got to tell you, if you want to see it, you're going to do it at Carnegie, right? They're going to do it. Please say that you're going to do it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so if you want to hear this amazing duet, I'll Be Home for Christmas, you got to come to Carnegie Hall. The narrated Bible, the hymnal. When does the hymnal come out for people that are paying attention and they want to make sure that they're on this?
And I'm sure this is a complete coincidence, but it is launching next year on the first day of the Sing Conference.
I'm sure that's a complete coincidence. Well, I finally got down to my first Sing this year, and you were too busy to see me, but Johnny showed me a good time.
You didn't come to the party. You didn't come to the party.
I couldn't stay that late. I had to be gone on Wednesday.
Well, the Sunday night of the Sing Conference this year, it's opening on the Sunday night with a double concert at the Grand Ole Opry, which launches the hymnal.
Well, I'm going to bring my sleeping bag and stay in your den this year. So that's what we're going to do.
That's fine.
We'll go from there. All right. Hey, Keith, it's always wonderful to see you, friend. And seriously, happy birthday. Life does get better after 50, and we will be looking forward to a wonderful night. Friends, if you're watching or listening, I'm not joking. I want you to book a flight, come to New York, get a hotel room, sing Christmas carols with 2,000 of your best friends that you've never met to the heavens in the middle of Manhattan, one of the most pagan cities on planet Earth. Sing about Jesus' birth in that context. Your life will change because of it. I just promise you. GettyMusic.com, GettyMusic.com. Go and do it. Keith, wonderful to see you, my friend. Be well.
That Kevin. Next. Here he is from New York. That Kevin McCullough.
And welcome back, Kevin McCullough. Glad to have you with us. We've got a little bit to go in tonight's show. And for those of you that have already called and helped liberate a slave, thank you. There were 27 at the start of the evening that we needed to try to help. And again, of the millions of households that this show reaches just via television, it's like 67 million households that can get us on any given time. And then besides that, the 300 radio stations, there's got to be 20 people tonight that can help us get one slave across the finish line and bring her home. That's the reason why it's bringherhome.org. We want to make sure that these slaves who have been separated from their family for more than a dozen years on average, sometimes as many as 15, 20, 25 years, have a chance to this Christmas be home with their family. And if you give that gift tonight of $250, that's going to give that slave everything they need to reestablish a life in their home village area where they came from, where they were taken in South Sudan. And the rejoicing and the party that will be held by not just the Christian Solidarity International staff, but the church, the village, the relatives that they still have. This is going to be an amazing homecoming for every one of them. And we have the chance to see to it that these final 27 can be helped. I just need 27 of you to do one slave each. And by the way, just to incentivize you, we've had a very generous donor earlier in the year tell me, Kev, on your big night, we will match every gift that comes in. So we could actually do more than that if you give right now. 888-342-1010. 888-342-1010. But how does it all work? Well, you give your gift. Currently, negotiations are underway for the release of that slave. And then when that slave is finally liberated, they are brought back to South Sudan. There's a recovery camp where they are able to just rest, seek medical care, get counseling, relearn their name, sometimes learn how to write again. There's all kinds of additional support that they get there. And then after a period of recovery, they're given their bag of hope. And that is what they take with them when we help relocate them back to their home village, their home area, relatives, if they have family members, if they don't, if they just have a community that they remember being a part of. And if none of that rings a bell, then there are several communities of former slaves, women that were equally mistreated amongst many slave masters, and they have come together and formed a sisterhood and communities that are able to allow each other to worship, allow each other to share with one another their burdens, their scars, the problems that they faced. And so wherever they land long term, they end up in a healthy place that is good for them. And what is in that $250? Well, you're going to give them enough food for the coming year, for a full year's worth of food. You're going to give them seed to plant for the following year's worth of food. And so it's a cycle that will keep on going. You're going to give them all kinds of utensils to help make their life, whether it's cooking or cleaning or gardening or fishing, whether it's things to help keep them warm like blankets and tarps, things that help protect them from the weather. other items that they may need, feminine items, medical items, depending on what their situation is. They may need a crutch or a crane or something else to be able to hobble along with. Whatever it is, that's what your $250 will supply. And then the cherry on the sundae is this little she-goat that they're going to be able to raise and have other goats with. It gives them a little micro enterprise. It gives them a business to start for the rest of their life. It's got milk and cheese and all the things that they need. Friends, you are changing lives when you do this right now. So I'm going to ask you, don't be shy. Step up to the plate. Help us get these final 27 slaves taken care of. And that'll bring us to the 208. We'll clear the list of every name that had been on it since the start of the year. And it'll be a Merry Christmas for every one of them. So will you help us? This is the one time of year we're going to come and kind of blow the show out to ask you to help. But if you'd help us right now, it'd mean everything. BringHerHome.org. BringHerHome.org.
My name is Nanya Newt. I was about 15 years old when I was captured. My mom had spent the last few days teaching me all about what it meant to be a good wife and a mom, showing me how to cook and sew. She had hoped I would get married in the future. One day I was out collecting firewood, and that was when the Arabs found me and captured me and took me to Sudan without the chance to tell my family goodbye. It took me many days to walk the complete journey. They gave us boiled sorghum as we went, and the men that had been captured with us faced grave dangers. They were considered to be spies, and most of them were killed right in front of us. Upon arrival in the north, I was sold to a master in Miriam village, and then I was sold almost as quickly to another Arab in Magalagate. He made me work for his family, sweeping the compound and washing the dishes. They worked me long and terrible hours, pounding sorghum, fetching water, and then they said in order to be a good Muslim woman, I would need to be circumcised. I was held down as it happened, and then I was forced to marry. Against my will, they forced me to work even when I was sick. And if I did anything that made them angry, they would beat me. My master never bought me any clothes, never paid me for any of my work, and barely ever fed me. Then one day, I heard about a CSI retriever, and I ran to find them in the town. As it turned out, they were freeing slaves in my region, and they had not known about me. But I think God allowed me to find them because they brought me home. We walked that same journey back to South Sudan. And today I thank God because I am free. I thank the Arab retriever because he helped. I thank CSI and for those who gave. I cannot thank those of you who gave money to help us become free ever enough in all of my life. But I do hope that my prayer is answered, that we will not stop until they are all free.
That's the idea of what we're doing tonight, friends. And if you would like to help women just like Ajuk, who experience things, let's just face it, that none of us should ever have to face. 888-342-1010, 888-342-1010, and every slave we free tonight will be matched. 888-342-1010.
Stick around for more of That Kevin next.